Russia has been clear about the goals of its military operation and the terms on which it will end, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has told U.S. journalist Tucker Carlson. President Vladimir Putin is often falsely accused of refusing to negotiate with Ukraine, Lavrov told Carlson in the interview, which was published on Friday. 2 years ago, Ukraine's Vladimir Zelensky actually outlawed any talks with Moscow, apparently based on a belief that he and the West would dictate terms of a truce, Russia's top diplomat pointed out. For starters, why don't you tell him, Zelensky, to cancel the order publicly? This will be a signal that he wants negotiations, Lavrov said. Asked about the terms Russia would agree to, Lavrov pointed Carlson to Putin's June speech, in which the Russian president laid out Moscow's position. Ukraine would have to withdraw its forces from Russian territory, ensure the rights of Russian-speaking residents, and become a neutral, nuclear-free state. The key principle is non-bloc status of Ukraine, Lavrov told Carlson. No NATO, absolutely. No military bases, no military exercises on Ukrainian soil with participation of foreign troops. Likewise, Moscow will not tolerate any deal under which Ukraine could continue discriminating against the Russian language, media, culture, and the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, the top diplomat added. We are not playing a double game, Lavrov said. What President Putin announced is the goal of our operation. It's fair. It's fully in line with the UN Charter. First of all, the rights. Language rights, minority rights, national minority rights, religious rights. In February 2022, when the conflict escalated, Moscow pointed to Kiev's violation of the Minsk agreements, repression of Russian-speaking residents of Ukraine, and attacks on the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics. Since then, Ukraine has also outlawed the canonical Orthodox Church and sought to replace it with a cutout created by the government. Russia's objectives are also fully in line with the principles of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, OSCE, which the U.S. is also a member of, Lavrov pointed out. The OSCE has repeatedly declared that no one should expand their security at the expense of others and that no organization in its sphere can claim dominance, Lavrov reminded Carlson. NATO was doing exactly the opposite. So we have legitimacy in our position, Lavrov said. No NATO on our doorsteps because OSCE agreed that this should not be the case if it hurts us. Russia's top diplomat also pointed out that the West has been saying nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine, while breaking that pledge in back-channel communications, but also implicitly trying to craft Russia's fate without Russia. And that, he said, is something Moscow can't and won't accept. Kiev's public opposition to Western calls that it draft 18-year-olds for military service is part of a strategy for winning an election if the conflict with Moscow ends next spring, the Ukrainian outlet Strana has claimed. Washington and its allies have publicly demanded the conscription of 18 to 25-year-olds, most recently on Wednesday, when U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken made the argument in Brussels. According to sources in the Ukrainian presidency, however, Kiev has opposed this as part of a strategy to prepare for the scenario of a quick end to the war and the election afterward, Strana reported on Thursday. One possibility considered by Vladimir Zelensky is a negotiated end to the hostilities shortly after the inauguration of U.S. President Donald Trump on January 20th, the outlet said. The other option is that the talks will fail and the fighting will go on for a long time. Public statements about lowering the mobilization age are being made in case the war ends soon and there are elections, so that they can talk about how they saved the gene pool of the nation, Strana's source in Kiev said. In case the talks fail and the fighting continues, the mobilization will have to be expanded sooner or later, and Bankivea will go for it, finding hundreds of reasons to explain the change in position, the outlet's source added, referring to the address of the Ukrainian president's office. Speaking to Reuters on Wednesday, Blinken argued that Kiev had hard decisions to make about further mobilization. Even if Ukraine got all the money and the ammunition it wanted from the West, Blinken said at a NATO press conference, "There have to be people on the front lines," he said. "Getting younger people into the fight, we think, many of us think, is necessary," the U.S. diplomat told Reuters. Right now, 18 to 25-year-olds are not in the fight. The Russian Defense Ministry has estimated Ukraine's losses at more than 500,000 since February 2022, though Zelensky has publicly admitted to less than a tenth of that. Kyiv has sought to mobilize another 160,000 fighters in the coming months to replenish depleted frontline units as Russian forces gain ground. Israel has attacked the Kamal Adwan Hospital and several nearby residential buildings in northern Gaza, killing 30 people and wounding many others, amid Israeli attempts to empty the area from the Palestinian people. There was a series of airstrikes on the northern and western sides of the hospital, accompanied by intense and direct fire. Hossam Abu Safiya, the director of the Kamal Adwan Hospital, said on Friday. He reiterated that the situation in the hospital and its vicinity was catastrophic, amid a large number of casualties, including 4 medical staff. "We are shocked to see hundreds of bodies in the streets surrounding the hospital." The forces also conducted a widespread arrest campaign among patients, their companions and caregivers, and forced the others to head to Gaza City. Abu Safiya noted that the hospital has run out of surgeons and medical supplies are about to completely run out. The hospital, one of the key medical facilities in the north of Gaza, has been repeatedly attacked by the Israeli forces since they launched a new invasion of the north about 2 months ago. On Thursday, a child was killed and 12 others injured in an Israeli drone strike on the hospital. Late last month, an Israeli drone killed Ahmed al-Khalaut, the director of Kamal Adwan Hospital's intensive care unit, as he was passing through the facility's entrance gate. Palestinian medical sources said the regime is trying to forcibly close the hospital, amid its attempts to empty northern Gaza of its people. Israel launched the war on Gaza on October 7, 2023, after the Palestinian resistance waged the surprise Operation Al-Aqsa Storm against the occupying entity in response to the Israeli regime's decades-long campaign of bloodletting and devastation against Palestinians. The regime's bloody onslaught on Gaza has so far killed at least 44,612 Palestinians, mostly women and children, and injured more than 105,834 others. Thousands more are also missing and presumed dead under rubble.